We're here at Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and while the concourse is going on and people are judging all of the expensive classics and one-offs, we decided to do a quick tour of the concept lawn, which is where we are right now, and it's full of all kinds of cool cars and interesting one-offs as well. Things that we haven't seen in a while and things that we're seeing for the first time. So let's take a quick look right over here. You can see a couple of German automakers, the Porsche Taycan, the BMW M8 Grand Coupe, as well as the brand new Audi PB e-tron Concept. So let's start with the Porsche Taycan, which is a four-door, all-electric vehicle. Now this thing is promising to have a horsepower rating of around 600 horsepower and a range of 310 miles. What will really help is that Porsche is hoping to develop a fast charging system with these 800-watt superchargers to take on Tesla's own supercharging network. And right over here is the brand new BMW M8 Concept. Now we saw this about a month ago, but here's the first time we can see it in America. Now this thing is going to probably replace the M6 Grand Coupe, which is a very popular car with BMW enthusiasts. And what you want to know about it is it's probably going to come with a twin-turbo V8 that'll make over 600 horsepower. That thing's going to be fast, but it's also going to be pretty comfy and luxurious, sorry. Right next to it is the brand new car from Audi, the PB18 e-tron, of course PB standing for Pebble Beach. This is the first time Audi has ever brought a design concept to Pebble Beach, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. Now this thing is an all-electric supercar. It's got a big kilowatt-hour solid-state battery in the middle of the vehicle. Will sprint to highway speeds in about 2 seconds, but if you drive it conservatively, you will apparently get some pretty impressive electric range with that as well. One of the interesting things about it is that it has a center seat position, and that seat can actually shift from side to side, so you can put a passenger next to you if you really wanted to. The reason you can do that is because it features a drive-by and throttle-by-wire system. Now we already have a first look at that. You can probably see that video on AutoGuide.com. I think this thing is pretty wild. I love it. And it's definitely inspired by the brand's Le Mans winning race cars. Over here, just opposite of that Audi, are a pair of Bentleys, a very old 1930 Bentley 8-liter. And then next to it, a commemoration of that vehicle, which is the Mulsanne WO edition, which is named after the brand's founder. This is a 1 of 100 vehicle, so it's not quite a concept, which is very interesting here. It's on the concept lawn. It features an onyx paint job, vertically slatted grills, black wheels, and on the inside it gets 4 different types of wool. WO Bentley's own signature is actually etched into the seat backs, which is pretty interesting, and they've taken the crankshaft from that 8-liter and they've sliced it into 100 pieces, and each of these 100 cars gets a little piece of that crankshaft in the rear drink cabinet. And right next to it is the new Mercedes EQ Silver Aero, which is actually a homage to the brand's W125 record-breaking vehicle. This was a car that achieved some incredible speeds on public roads. Now, the original car used a 5.5-liter V12 engine. Now, this is an all-electric vehicle with a single seat. What's wild about this thing is it is 17 feet long. Jeez, who said size doesn't matter? I can't get over those rose gold wheels too. 168 spokes. Over here. It gets a little crowded around that Mercedes. Another car that's drawing a pretty big crowd is this Jaguar I-Pace e-trophy. This vehicle is going to be a part of a racing series that takes part during the Formula E race weekends. So it's been done up by Jaguar's Special Vehicles Operations, and these things are going to be kind of interesting to see on the tight Formula E courses. This one's been done up with a really, let's say, A very interesting livery with these stars and stripes. I think we know what what we're getting at with there. And right next to that is the Hennessy Venom F5. This is a car that we first saw at SEMA. Beautiful yellow. And it features a very unique engine, a 16 horsepower, 7.6 liter twin turbo V8. Now this engine has been in development for about 5 years, and it's more powerful than what you would get in a Bugatti or even a Koenigsegg. So obviously, these guys at Hennessy are looking to get a record, which is, they want to be the first automaker to make a production vehicle that can hit 300 miles per hour. Next to that is another vehicle. This is the 2019 Ford GT Heritage Edition. Not much has changed with this vehicle, but you can see it uses a fantastic Golf livery, and that's always appreciated. People always fall in love with this. I love those orange brake calipers too. That's making a big comeback in all of the vehicles that we've seen lately. Even the new NSX has those orange brake calipers. Fast car, amazing design. Now this is an interesting car. This is the W Motors Fenner Super Sport. And what I think is really cool about this is one of the first automakers from Lebanon that uses a twin turbo flat six engine from roof. It makes nearly 800 horsepower. And if you wanted to get in one of these, it would cost you nearly $2 million. I just love the way the doors open up too. It's really interesting.
And this is running right up.
Really quick car, rear wheel drive, and they somehow managed to hit highway speeds under 3 seconds in this vehicle. It's such a unique, striking design. Look, they're opening up the door like I told you. Lots of carbon fiber in there, and a very unique interior as well. Next to that is the brand new Prototype 10 from Infiniti. Now this is their new design concept, and I will admit I kind of liked last year's design concept a little bit more. It featured an open wheel race car kind of design. Now this single seater features an electric powertrain, points to the brand's future in 2021. I personally think that Infiniti has one of the freshest design teams in the business, although they could have done something interesting with this. I like the fin, I like all of the cooling vents, but you know what, there's just something that's missing with this car that the last concept definitely had. And right next to that is the brand new Polestar 1. This is the North American debut of the Polestar 1. This is a hybrid vehicle. It uses a 2-liter twin-charged engine as well as a bunch of hybrid electric motors to make nearly 600 horsepower. And when you want to, you'll be able to drive this vehicle on a pure electric drivetrain. It'll get you about 150 miles. Already 200 people have signed up to get into a Polestar 1, and it set them back about $155,000. What I think is really interesting about the Polestar 1, it features a completely carbon fiber body. Hey, it's getting crowded over here. Next to that is a very interesting Porsche 911 that's been reimagined by Singer and Williams, the Formula One team. This vehicle is based on a 1990 911, one of the last air-cooled models you can get, and it's still an air-cooled 911. Now, in order to keep that car manageable on the road, they had to make some aerodynamic tweaks. Now, you can pay attention to the way it's been designed. There's a nice little crease in the roof to help channel the airflow over the vehicle. That's really something special. Now, about 75 of these have been made, and I think all of those owners are going to be pretty impressed with what they've got. Just take a look at that interior, too. Nice, sharp colors in there. I think, like I said earlier, orange is making a comeback these days. Next to that is the Aviator Concept. Now, this is a car that I think we're going to see really soon. A rear-wheel drive-based SUV from Lincoln Motor Company. I think this is very close to production. And we've already seen some spy photos of this thing. I actually really like the design, and if this is the direction that Lincoln is going in, I think people are going to start paying attention to them a little bit more. It basically looks like a mini Navigator, something that's caught a lot of people's eyes. And now this is really interesting. See, most people associate Pebble Beach with super exotics and luxury cars, yet here we have a Volkswagen pickup truck concept. This is the Atlas Tan Oak. Basically, it's Volkswagen's attempt to make something kind of like a Ridgeline. They've taken the Atlas, they've chopped off the rear end of it, and put a truck bed in there as well. And there's some really interesting design cues in here. You know, they've made a little pass-through in the bed so that if you have any longer equipment, you can just slide it all the way through into the cabin.
There's the new Rolls Royce SVJ. The Rolls. Like the SUV right there.
Now, I'm not sure if they're actually going to make this thing here, but you know what? To be bringing it out to something as big as Pebble Beach, it has to mean that this car is heading into production in some way or another. Next to it is a brand new Byton K-Byte concept car. Now, Byton is an electric vehicle startup. And it's pretty cool to see them, you know, capitalizing on that Tesla sort of market share of people who have a lot of money to spend and they want to be interested in something like a startup, early adopters. An all-electric vehicle, Byton promises that when this vehicle hits production sometime in 2021, it will likely offer level 4 autonomous driving, which should cover a wide spectrum of driving situations. I will admit, though, that the design, I don't know, doesn't seem too inspired. Just looks like a car, you know what I'm saying? And over next to it is a very special vehicle. This is a brand new Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a expensive, ultra-luxurious SUV. This is going to cost people at least $325,000. It features a 6.7-liter twin-turbo V12 engine that makes 563 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. It's the same engine that you can find on a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Now, unlike some of the other cars, here it doesn't feature a 200+ mile per hour top speed, just 155, but that's nothing to laugh at. Such a sharp-looking SUV, sits about 6 feet tall. Right in front of it is the SSC Tuatara. You're going to have to forgive me if I don't get the pronunciation of that vehicle right. But it does come with a massive twin-turbo V8 that makes over 1,700 horsepower, depending on the type of fuel you use. If you use E85, that's going to be a lot of power. It's going to have to compete with that Hennessy across the lawn for that title for the most powerful production vehicle, or fastest production vehicle. This could probably hit and break that 300 mile per hour mark. It's an all-carbon body designed by Pininfarina, which is really special. But speaking about really good designs, just ahead of it is the production LC500, done up in a very unique yellow paint finish. This is part of the Inspiration series. Now, you can't quite get this vehicle in this setup, but it looks pretty good. They've done this really unique black and yellow setup, making it look like a Bumblebee, something that maybe Chevrolet has capitalized in years past. The interior is where the car really shines. I think that this LC is one of the most beautiful cars, especially in terms of its interior design. And it uses a lot of that yellow and black design language. Over here is the Salaf C2, a vehicle that is coach built by a designer who's well known for his work at Mazda. It features a V10 engine that's borrowed from a Gallardo. It's a really sleek looking car, nice and low. And it's already gathering a ton of attention here on the concept lawn. Now over here in front of it is well, a car that simply can't be beat, literally. This is one of the fastest cars around the Nürburgring. It gets a 6-minute and 44-second lap time. This is the Aventador SVJ 63, a limited edition version of the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. This is the 63. Now you can tell it's that because, well, it's got a big old 63 on the side, it's got extra carbon fiber, and one of the more interesting parts of the vehicle, it features some unique aerodynamic tweaks that allows the car to shift the airflow front to back and side to side. Basically, the thing feels like it's stuck to the road. Mounted midship is a naturally aspirated V12 engine, makes 770 horsepower. This is probably the swan song for the Lamborghini Aventador. It's going to be replaced sometime soon, but they've done a really good job with it here. Right in front of it, this is the Maserati Levante Trofeo, a high-performance version of the Maserati SUV. This uses a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 that makes just under 600 horsepower. That's going to definitely steal some attention from some of those Porsche Cayennes. Oh, I see you're paying attention to the Genesis Essentia. What a crazy-looking vehicle. An all-electric concept. We first saw it in the New York Auto Show. I love the bronze accents that Genesis has put in many of their vehicles. And I really think that neat weave between the outside and inside of the vehicle is unique, it's special. What makes this car really stand out in terms of interior design. In front of it is a special coach-built MSO McLaren 600 LT. It's made up in stealth gray. Now the 600 LT is the replacement for the 570S. It will cost about $240,000 and you add $123,000 in customization. That's a lot of money and actually encroaches on things like the McLaren 720S. It features 600 metric horsepower and weighs actually 200 pounds less than a 570. So just around 2,750 pounds, which is pretty impressive for a mid-engine supercar. This thing is going to be quick. And take a look at those seats too. Carbon fiber over here. Almost everywhere. A nice Bowers & Wilkins sound setup. I love what they've been doing with their speakers lately. And finally, we have the Pikes Peak beating IDR concept. Now this thing ran all the way up the Pikes Peak, smashed the record with electric vehicles, and looking at it in person, it's just a bajillion wings upon wings and a couple of wheels. In order to do any sort of hill climb, you need to have aerodynamics, and this IDR Pikes Peak definitely has that covered. Now that's it for the Concept One. I'm glad you could join us for that really fun tour. There's always so many interesting vehicles that are not only expensive and unique, but there's also some really interesting cues that point to the future of so many brands. Thanks for watching and be sure to check out the rest of our Pebble Beach coverage. Bye!